whatever.
Very trying.
It says we're live.
It lies. Well, let's
Well,
see
it
here.
changed colors, so
Hell, I know it's Texas in the spring. Send money.
yeah, that's pretty much it.
If you would like coffee on a day like today, when we're on tenterhooks over who the new pope is, you need coffee to settle yourself. Buy it from King Harvest. Let them know you heard about it from us.
I already had a thought.
Me too. I didn't realize they were going to be this quick.
Yeah.
Smart Aleck t-shirts. Probably one about the Pope coming up any moment now. tinyurl.com among these tees. Again, let them know you heard about it from us.
This is not a place to interject a joke about involved in mispronouncing the Pope with a shorto.
Yes. Well, before we get to that, Differs posed a question about local archery, and training bows. So, since we have
Archery's
a pretty
not a
eclectic
thing.
group on here, if we have anybody that's into archery, what would be your recommendation for Differs to go check for the kids? I'm thinking Bear Archery if they still exist.
Bear Archery, to the best of my knowledge, still makes bows,
Yeah.
but I don't know they have shops.
Bass Pro Shop should have them.
Bass Pro Academy used to have a archery range in every academy, but
Yeah,
I don't know if they
But
still
think
do.
about where they're located.
Where are they located?
New Mexico,
They should have an academy there.
somewhere.
Dick's, if they have one, it used to carry.
Yeah.
Not fond of Dick's, but they at least carried archery supplies. Well, a decade ago they did. Okay, 2 decades ago.
I know all I know about archery is don't dry fire the bows.
Oh yeah, no, don't do that.
Apparently, it will self-destruct if you dry fire a bow,
Yeah.
which
No
It's a
bass,
design
cabela's,
defect.
etc. for an hour in any direction. That's what I figured, Kermit.
holy crap, really?
But I remember Bear had various, they had everything from the basic bow all the way up to the
If you could find a distributor that carried it.
compounds.
Uh,
Because I had a compound back years and years ago. Anyway, we are sitting
Archery's not my thing, so
waiting with bated breath for who the Pope is going to be and which direction.
I was telling these guys that has got to be the quickest selection of a pope in my lifetime.
Yeah.
Less than 24 hours.
hopefully that's saying that, we don't want another screaming
Bergoglio?
liberal.
Well,
Bergoglio?
that's the problem. The church is pretty evenly divided from what I've seen. I'm not a Catholic. I'll say that up front. But the conservative wing of the church versus the liberal wing of the church.
I'm not sure it's evenly divided after Francis, quite honestly. I think that he loaded the College of Cardinals.
Yeah,
with
he put 103 cardinals in. So
every one of them a screaming Marxist.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah, at least 2 popes have been selected within 3 days.
Yeah, 3 days, but this is like under 24 hours.
Yeah. No, this is 48 hours. It's 2 days.
It's 2 days.
Okay.
They're
Yeah.
9 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
So, but they haven't counted the mail-in ballots yet. So
Yeah, mail-in ballots haven't.
Yeah.
3 a.m. They
there are
a
20 more ballots.
a new box of ballots was discovered at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
And there are now 700 cardinals voting.
The Borgas did faster retirements and elections. Yes.
I'm not Jim. Like I said, my lifetime.
Hey, watch it.
Yes, but that's been so short.
Exactly.
Speaking of short,
Conclave started yesterday, so a day and a half. Yeah.
fake smoke.
It's a hockey stick shaped cloud of smoke, was it?
Yeah.
Well, there was
Well,
some guy that recently was driving his car and he got a video of a black smoke ring going up through the air.
Yeah. That's the second one lately. Another one was up in Seattle. I did have a meeting with a surgeon yesterday. So I have a plan of attack for my back surgery, which is going to involve floor jacks.
Something called a spine jack. And
Yeah.
after he let us know, I started researching it. And wow, but for the VA, that's cutting edge. Even for, it's the VA. I didn't expect cutting edge technology from the VA.
And like I said, we need to put electric motors on it with little controllers so that so that Ian and I can sit over here and argue over what position we put him in.
The
Has the College of Carlos counted the Protestant ballots yet?
Yeah.
Oh, the jokes write themselves.
yeah. So anyway, I'm on a 10-day leash to get the surgery as soon as I can get a CAT scan and they can determine there have been no additional injuries, quote unquote. However, he's a spine surgeon, so he took a look at the rest of my back and went, we need to talk. So,
Oh, just not be cheap.
yeah. Apparently, I'm going to have other, quote, other repairs of an unknown type once they get the bases fixed.
I'm just sitting here and I'm hearing these screw jacks going up and down with little electrical sounds and thinking, well, once you get the legs and the arms and one eye replaced, we can build our own RoboCop.
Oh boy, took one look at Jim's back and called his kids, "You're going to Harvard."
Yeah. I don't think they're going to Harvard now, but yeah. Yeah, Greg. Swing a cat over the body and interpret the yowling.
Yeah.
No,
Got a cat with a magnifying glass. Well,
that'll be me trying to lay flat on my back, which is not going to be fun. Because I'm off of all pain meds for 10 days.
well, the
prior
source
to
of this
surgery.
pain is that splinter you got at Trafalgar.
No, we're not going to do a robo gym. That's too much of a pain in the butt, literally.
Well, not for the rest of us.
Yeah. The Harry S. Truman is
Lost
going to
another
be
one.
coming home soon, thankfully.
How many F-18s will drop on the way home?
Hopefully none. This is their third loss yesterday.
Third or fourth?
Third.
Third.
One was shot down on a blue on blue. They lost one off the elevator because of the evasive turn the carrier made. People don't realize how much a carrier rolls
Oh, yeah.
when it turns.
Mhm.
Those suckers bend. They're, ooh.
And it rolls against the turn. So if you're turning left, for example, which they probably were, because the hangar's on the left side, they turn left, the ship rolls left. So you've got an increase in the centrifugal force. The hangar deck, they're late in deployment. The hangar deck is full of oil. Most of the non-skid's been scraped off. And the tow tractor is not strong enough to hold an F-18. So it just slid off. Luckily, they have not lost any pilots. They have not lost any crew. The issue yesterday was a arrestment failure, which is one or two things. Either they broke the wire, which happens, or the foot or shoe broke off the F-18's tail hook. The tail hook is actually a two-part. The shoe, which is the bottom part that actually catches the wire, bolts to the hook bar that comes down from the aircraft itself. Unlike the Air Force type, which is a little bitty dinky thing. So they are good for about 10 landings before they have to be replaced. So we don't know for sure yet which of those issues happen. But what happens is you get effectively a slow roll off.
It
After
slowed them down slowed them down enough. They didn't have enough velocity to take off.
They did not have enough flying speed to get back in the air. So they go off the front boat.
And apparently the pilot went, "Oh, fuck this." And both of them.
Well, actually, the Rio probably went, "Oh, no, bye."
We're done.
Because the Rio goes first. The guy in the back seat goes first.
Really?
Has to. Because if the pilot went first, you'd fry the Rio
Yeah.
with the way the seat fires. We're not ranting on the four-star riff. We did
that on Tuesday. In happier news, Henry T. Cat has hit the grand old age of 20.
Yes. Harry made it to 20.
So the feline version of Jim Curtis is chugging along quite
Oh my God.
chugging along quite well.
Yes. He's just as grumpy as you are, I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you. I consider that a compliment.
But he's not getting lost in corners anymore. We figured out that the only thing he can really eat is cooked chicken breast because that's what's putting weight back on him. So cat's eating better than I am. So but
Oh,
he's doing well.
Chewy the Wonder Chewini is hanging in there.
Yeah.
We're about to lose Chewy, I'm afraid.
Yeah,
That's going to be bad for Rita. Speaking of, Rita put up a somewhat controversial post on her Substack. God bless her. Which is, and other controversies. Apparently, not the V lacks Google foo skills.
Oh my god, that was so stupid. So
Because apparently they had, I'm not on X, and I just heard from these guys. Apparently, not the B was lamenting you can't find men's
no, they couldn't find
non-woke.
non woke stories. They were like, what, 53 anthologies isn't enough? You know?
We can't find non-woke stories. It's like trust me, the small publishers I've been pushing for the last how many years?
Yeah.
Jumpmaster, Canon, Three Ravens, us. That's at least 100 books out there. They're not woke.
And we got half of them, so.
Yeah.
And half of those are ours.
Well, and there's also others that we are not closely associated with.
Yeah.
They're also
Wargate.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Wargate's books aren't.
Well, Larry weighed in too. So
yeah. Rick Partlow.
Rick Partlow popped on as well.
Well, Rick's getting screwed.
Yeah, Facebook is doing Rick dirty.
Oh yeah, that's why he's focusing so much on X because we don't get screwed over there.
Yeah.
So, but Facebook is just awful for
Yeah.
anybody who's not.
no, Facebook is not awful if you are very neutral and post things about your cats and your wife.
And apparently Ringo weighed in too. That was, whoo.
Oh, his new one is out.
Is it?
Yeah.
which one's this?
Something not a good guy. Damn it! Now you're gonna make
Not
me
that
go
kind
with
of good guy.
Not that kind of good guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about halfway through it, and it is
Okay.
It's Ringo.
it is typical Ringo. It is hilarious, and oh my God, does it poke fun at every?
It's Ringo.
Yeah.
Seder. I haven't even heard of this. Get it for our Kindle.
Yeah.
No, seriously, guys. Not the B needs to learn how to use Google.
Yeah. That's the sad state of affairs.
Well,
For,
but, you know,
for somebody with that big of a reach that can't use a basic Google search,
Yeah.
but you know, if they said amongst traditional publishers,
but
No,
they
and
didn't.
They were talking about, there's nothing outside of that. I'm like,
Yeah.
Where have you been?
Yeah.
Well,
Nothing
Trust me,
outside of that.
Our marketing, trust me, our marketing footprint is bigger than most people's.
Yeah.
These guys, they market the hell out of Racketeer Press. If not to be couldn't find us,
Yeah.
they didn't try.
anything existed before he was 10 years old. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Ben. The Google does throttle the term non-woke.
Google actually throws a lot of stuff, but
Yeah.
I've checked. We show up on Google.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you, because we are never one to miss an opportunity. So
Outrage marketing for the win.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're going to use that, because we were like, you want good throwback, wonderful, epic fantasy. Hey, go check out Wally. And Wally's new book is a serial drop
Mhm.
yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
The first one had a big just bump of sales just because I was posting like crazy. Look, we're right here. So yeah, Wally's book is so damn good. If you haven't read that yet, oh my God. It's like throwback to the Harper Hall series of
Yeah.
McCaffrey. It's that good. So good. I'm just damn.
Yeah. It's next up on my read list.
Yeah, it's terrific. So
Yeah. Spite for the win. Yes.
yes.
Yeah. Spite, it gets shit done.
Yeah, speaking of spite, I have talked before about the changes that we're going to get in history as more and more details come out from World War II.
Oh, yeah.
And found another piece yesterday, which I referenced in my email this morning, that came from Strategy Page.
Oh.
And it's scary in many ways. The Japanese apparently had a complete, not only set of crypto, but also devices that they got off the USS Darter when it ran aground.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I was about to say eBay, but
Yeah. In 1942.
Damn.
And they'd also gotten two M109 Army crypto documents and all the data back to Japan. Now, there's also a good amount of stuff that was gotten in Europe, but nobody ever changed the crypto.
wow.
So it makes one wonder, and it makes me wonder in all seriousness, how much of that was because of the battles between MacArthur and Nimitz?
Politics.
Politics, yeah. Because American cryptographers were pretty good. I mean, they broke the Japanese code.
Mhm.
But the problem was they tended to be very secular in what they looked at. Whereas MacArthur had multiples, not only Americans, but also Australians and some other folks looking at the Japanese stuff. They actually believed, MacArthur's folks believed, that the Japanese had compromised the U.S. security. Nimitz folks didn't. That data never got passed. Of course, we're finding this out today, now. But how many lives did that cost us?
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Oh, they're making an announcement.
oh, they are? Okay.
They're announcing the name.
Well, whenever it pops up, let us know.
The we're not Catholic. I'm not even close. But the important thing about the Pope is I was telling these guys, the Pope is one of the stabilizing influences on geopolitics,
Or destabilizing.
or destabilizing, as the case may be. So this is whether you're Catholic or not, is fairly important.
Yeah, Rick, that's a good point. IJN was fixated on the one great battle theory. When they lost Yamamoto, they lost that capability, though, because they did not have any thinkers who thought in that big a scale other than Yamamoto.
Well, they didn't have anybody they could think non-Japanese.
Yeah.
Every one of their officers was a single track Japanese, and I like the Japanese, I do, but they do tend to have one track OCD little minds.
Yeah.
They're leaders too.
Yeah, Tom. MacArthur didn't need crypto analysts. He just told S2 what the Japs. Well, MacArthur's palace guard was infamous for that, and for refusing to take outside information.
People bitch about the perfume princes. Thank you, Hackworth, Colonel Hackworth. Perfume princes of today.
Yeah.
Not realizing that they've always been there, just not quite as many of them.
Well, Hackworth was one of them.
That's how he knew how bad it was.
But Willoughby was the S2, and he was very, very protective, which contributed to part of the problem. No question about it.
Well, they've got him lined up on the balcony.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
It's not out yet, though.
Doug says, watch out if the next pope is named Peter or any variation.
New Pope greets cheering crowd from Vatican balcony after. Who is he?
Yeah.
I'm hoping for Cardinal Sarah, or the.
I'm watching it right now.
Are you?
He pops out. So
I'm hoping for Cardinal Sarah. He's an African Pope,
Yeah.
or Pope. He's an African cardinal, and he took Bergoglio to task a couple of times
Yep.
for straying outside the boundaries. Who's that guy on the balcony with Jim? Yeah, right. American Cardinal announces Pope. Holy crap! Which one? Damn, which one?
I don't know.
Because one of them is pretty conservative.
Yeah.
Yeah, right here it says American Cardinal announces Pope.
Well, the American Cardinal is the one that was he was basically the butler.
Oh.
So he's been in charge. So he would be the one that announces the name.
Robert Provost. Robert Provost. That's not a name I remember.
How many American Cardinals are there?
Pope Leo.
Okay, who was he before he was Pope Leo?
I'm looking.
That's a $64 question.
Prevost. Okay.
Huh.
I don't know this guy. He's from Chicago. That doesn't fill me with a whole bunch of.
Oh boy.
Oh no. Conservative American Pope.
Is he conservative?
I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that's interesting that they picked an American.
Centrist. We're screwed.
Yeah.
New Pope is a friend of Trump and the man who received his. Oh, great. Okay, we'll see. Nobody's real happy.
Embraces progressive stances on issues like supporting marginalized groups, conservative views on issues like ordination of women. So he's conservative on the wrong things.
Yeah.
He's conservative on things that don't matter.
Yeah.
He's progressive on social issues. We're screwed. Conservative on doctrines. His supporters see him as a balanced candidate. Who could continue Pope Francis' inclusive agenda? We're fucked.
Yeah, we are.
Pretty much.
Irish American. Thanks, Tom.
So
Sorry.
sometime in the near future, we should be expecting, we've had Pope Peter, and we've had Pope Paul. Pretty soon we should be having Pope Mary, right?
Yeah. Well,
Breaking news. Federal Judge James Boasberg has issued a nationwide injunction to stop the Catholic Church from naming a new pope.
yeah. Oh. Yeah, he's continuing to overstep. And now there are questions about how he seems to get all of the Trump
Yeah,
cases.
yeah, apparently
Oh, yeah.
Congress is looking into it.
They're
Yeah.
all over that because it's like, but you know, they're just.
Not only Congress, DOJ is looking at it.
Mhm.
Because there is supposedly a specific set of procedures and the way that is done.
So it's fairly random.
So
And,
they're certainly not following them.
Yeah.
So
today's been fun. Oh, in more ways than.
Yeah. President one, he appointed 103 of the 140 new cardinals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Well, I had hoped a little. I'd hoped for more conservatism.
Yeah.
Because right now, the way the world is, the Pope is one of the. I want to stabilize the influences. It's even people who aren't Catholic like me tend to look towards the Pope as hey, that's a lynch. It's a guide star. It's a pole star.
Yeah.
And having a wishy-washy pole star is never good for anybody.
Well, I'm just thinking that, there are liberals sitting over there going, hey, this guy is not as good as we wanted. He's very conservative on some of these things, and they're as unhappy as we are.
Yeah.
And, that's generally the sign of a good business deal is when both sides are unhappy.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. The other thing that's interesting, Washington State just passed a new law
oh god.
that requires, not recommends, that anything that is said about children in the Catholic confessional be reported.
Yeah,
Can't do
they
that.
Make them 24-hour reporters.
Can't do that.
Well, that's now law in Washington State.
Yeah, just because it's law doesn't mean you can do it.
So it's going to be interesting to see
Freedom,
how that
freedom,
plays out.
freedom of religion, when the confessional is supposed to be utterly secret
Yeah.
between you and the confessor.
The sanctity of confession is older than the United States.
Yeah.
It's damn sure older than Washington State. You can't.
Yeah.
And I realize that it's one of these camel's nose under the tent for the children,
Yeah.
is one step towards making the confessional irrelevant.
Yeah.
Next
Well-
thing it'll be anything about women, anything about sexual assaults.
Yeah.
Oh, murder's pretty bad, so you get no.
Yeah.
No, let's not friggin' go there.
So the question will be, will they start arresting Catholics?
That'll be fun to watch.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, okay, if they're not reporting it, and they don't allow listening devices in the booths.
Yeah.
How can they say that this person confessed his sins, all of his sins, to the
Because they
priest?
will make that assumption that they did, and the priest
And-
refused to.
And then make
report.
the priest prove he wasn't guilty.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the way the U.S. is going.
Yeah.
It's headed towards trust me, figured that out a couple of years ago. It seems to, and with the howling approval of the masses, it's going towards the American jurisprudence is going towards making the accused person prove he's not guilty.
Yeah.
That's what I saw.
Yeah, John, for the children, until it's the government at the local school district. Yes.
Yeah, right. Ah! No kidding.
As we're seeing with Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are getting done dry with kiwi? That's an inside joke. It's an inside military joke.
Yeah.
By the Unsubscribed podcast and their millions of followers.
Yes.
That was the wrong bunch of half-drunk, autistic
Yeah, we're gonna sue you. Oh, really?
veterans to screw with.
Because trust me, none of them have any fucks left to give.
Nope. They're fucked up, except for what's his name? Herrera, Brandon.
Yeah.
Their fucks got knocked out of them in the sandbox.
Yeah. Yeah, Kermit. Buffalo is threatening to sue Angry Cop and Unsubscribed.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Do it. Do
I
it.
want to see
Do
the
it.
biggest GoFundMe in history.
Yeah.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
It'd be pretty instantaneous.
Okay, where do we provide money to this GoFundMe?
Well,
for?
the great thing about suing Unsubscribed is that discovery. Exactly. You just sued and you let the fat electrician
Yeah.
with his touch of tism and his 3-ring binders get a hold of discovery.
Yeah.
You might want to think this one through.
Well, not only that, but the number of supporters that Unsubscribed has with interesting backgrounds.
Oh, no kidding. No kidding. And
Yeah.
and that's as irritated as they are about the kids, that the Unsubscribed guys are pissed about the kids and their followers are somewhat vexed.
Yeah.
You sue them and a whole bunch of somewhat vexed turns into furious.
Yeah.
And you get a whole bunch of people with spooky backgrounds going through your stuff.
Well, and let's
You
not,
thought Doge was bad.
hey, let's not forget the people with the backgrounds of, they've killed plenty of people already. A few more won't hurt their
Yeah.
consciences. at
Well,
all.
it's weaponized autism for the win,
Yeah.
and you just fired them up. Well done, guys.
Yeah.
If you wanted a smoking crater where Buffalo Schools was, this was the best way to go
Yeah.
about it.
Resident One says, sue them, do it. Discovery's going to be a real bitch.
Yeah, no
Yes.
kidding. Yeah.
And also, you never get in the way of the enemy when they're making a mistake. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. You just activated millions of weaponized autism. You thought 4chan was bad about
Yeah.
weaponized autism? You haven't met the Unsubscribed fan base. Not only they have not only do they have a touch of the tism, they got trained in how to use it.
Yes.
The 4chan guys just stumbled on how to use it. The Unsubscribed bunch, all those vets, they got taught how to use it. Woo!
Yeah. I don't
Smoking
know.
crater.
Letitia James has her own set of problems.
She doesn't have time to handle anything else. She's too busy covering her own butt.
The other thing that's interesting, speaking of her, the the last law that got signed into effect in New York now allows the state to pay for her defense.
Seriously?
Yeah, using public funds. Law becomes effective.
Well, no ex post facto laws. It's
Now, it was effective January the 1st, 2025.
when did it? It's not retroactively active, is it?
It's already active, yes. So she is covered under it. So
When did they vote on it? When was it signed into law by the governor?
January the 1st, 2025.
Okay. All right.
So she will go to any ends she can to get out of what's going on. But again, weaponized autism, they are discovering more and more things that she has done that basically are exactly what she tried to nail Trump on.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. It's another one of these. We're discovering that when liberals scream about something being wrong,
Yeah.
if you dig deep enough, they're doing it.
Yeah. That's why they know to scream about it. Oh yeah, James, that's, once you put it out there, you're going to get a reaction one way or the other.
Yeah. It's the amount of people on the left that scream about something being wrong. And
Yeah.
it's like the infamous example of all of these left side feminist males.
Yeah.
And when you dig, they're the worst horn dogs and sexual harassers. They're much worse than the right.
Yeah.
They scream about, this is what a feminist looks like. And when all of them are equal, then you go poking, and it turns out he's a horn dog with a 10-year history of stalking and harassing women.
Yeah, Ben, when you point your finger, three are pointing back at yourself. My grandfather taught me that when I was about 5 years old.
That's why some of us point like this.
Yeah. Knife hand.
And start out with, listen, fuck nugget.
Yeah.
Oh, you were taught by the polite people that didn't use profanity.
Yeah. Well, some of us have been accused of not having any tact.
Don't look in the crawl space of a male feminist, right?
Yeah.
Tact. That's what you use to put shingles on the roof, right?
Yeah. No couth and no tact. Because they didn't get paid for that.
I made it to E6. I spent several years working with the detention officers on midnight shift. And the thing about detention officers on midnight shift is midnight rolls around and their hair gets long and their fangs come out and their knuckles start dragging.
And
I try my best. Rita's trying to civilize me, but I use fuck. I use the word fuck as a punctuation most of the time.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, I got a job at a shop that was full of veterans.
Yeah.
And they were worried about me fitting in.
Yeah.
And then I got under a piece of equipment and I banged my knuckle. And they said, what I'm turning to the other side, well, he's going to fit in right well here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, wall-to-wall counseling sessions. Yes.
I literally, my old chief deputy gave me the migraine salute of disappointment. I had a young officer that he was a good officer and was had a bright future and had one really boneheaded, you can do better. And we had this one emergency exit that there were no cameras on. I said, hey, come with me while we do an inspection. Got back, got his uniform. Wham! What the fuck are you thinking? I'm sorry. Wham! And then it got back to the chief. He's like, Ian, what? I don't like putting paper for initial mistakes. The Army has gotten bad about this.
Yeah.
And the sheriff's office was ate up with it. Is you put paper on somebody, and 5, 10, 30 years later, they'll hold it against them in a promotion.
Oh yeah.
Stupid. You're not the same 30 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years later, you're not the same person you were when you screwed the pooch.
Yeah, but Tom, you got to clean it up sometimes when you're out in public.
What?
Can't swear in front of politicians or business folks.
Well,
You can't
I'm
come.
done for
Yeah.
because I've done both.
Well,
Yes, Resident One, Gary Sinise, inside the actor's studio. That was hilarious because the poor guy, and I can't remember his name, that was asking the question, was just sitting there going, huh?
Yeah. It was great. You should look it up.
Yeah.
Somebody asked Gary Sinise about the using that word, and he went on this lovely soliloquy about it.
Yeah, James Lipton. Thank you. Yeah, he was the one that asked the question.
okay. What was the infamous word that he used?
Fuck.
Fuck.
Oh,
What was your favorite cuss word? He said fuck. And then went into
And then
this.
went into soliloquy about the wonderful uses of it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because I've heard people say, well, you know, soldiers can use the word fuck 14 times in one sentence. And I'm sitting here, they're going, no, soldiers can have entire conversations that consist of nothing but the word fuck passed back and forth.
Yeah.
Yep.
And actually have everybody around them understand what they were saying.
Yep.
Yeah. Robin Williams. Yeah, that was another good episode. Yes. Military vehicles. Oh God. That brings up another classic case, the M10 Booker.
Oh God.
No, this GDLS has so many.
General Dynamics Land Systems.
Oh, sorry. You're right. Should have
Baffle gab for the win.
hush. General Dynamics Land Systems has so many generals on staff that all got to stick their little fork into the M10 Booker.
The M10 Booker was a light tank that the Army was looking at getting.
That they went to LRIP, which is low rate initial production, and then they found out it was overweight. So now they've got 80 of these things. Program's been canceled, by the way,
Yeah, because it's
because there's no use for them.
Well, if they
They're-
called them, instead of a tank, called them a self-propelled gun.
Well, the gun is weak.
gun is too light, the tank's too heavy, it's too heavy to run quick, it's too light to actually stand and fight.
All of the above. Yeah, given to Ukraine. I would actually take a striker over the M10 Booker. At least you can run with a striker. But this is one of the problems that DoD has. Is one of many. Acquisition. You expect to see the Bookers dressed with SWAT decals soon. Probably. Hey, Kermit, y'all might even get a few of them. But the problem with acquisition is, A, it takes so friggin' long. B, what started out as a good idea, by the time it actually gets to...
By the time every general got his dick hooks
Yeah.
involved.
Or worse, if Congress starts getting involved in it.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the LCS, little crappy ships for the Navy.
Well, the Sergeant York,
Yeah.
Division Air Defense.
Yeah.
That's the classic example.
Yeah. It couldn't defend its own self.
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
there was a piece that was, I know Ian's had experience with them. It was a common military vehicle that I absolutely, if I had to say a military vehicle I hated, was disgusted by, I never wanted to ride in, especially when it was going near water.
Gamma goat.
Bingo.
Yeah. Sergeant York, dead by Scrope Creek. Well, one that got killed even quicker than that was the new presidential helo.
Well, that's the thing about Sergeant York. It didn't get killed. He didn't get killed quickly.
Yeah.
They dragged that thing out. When I was at Fort Bliss, for TDY for something,
Yeah.
and they were because at the time Fort Bliss was the home of Air Defense Artillery, and they were doing a test run. And I'm sitting there watching it because it's my day off, and
Yeah.
I'm watching this because what the hell? And they had to have a Mylar reflecting balloon on the drone so that the radar could find it.
Yeah, the Bradley. Yeah, that's another one.
And I love the Bradley. I do. Bradley's a great little light tank.
Tom, if you remember, the Osprey is nothing more than a helicopter flying sideways. You're okay.
Well, I was just when the Bradleys came out. I never rode in a Bradley. I never saw a Bradley actually in service. I was in an old M1125, or an M113, depending on your.
Yeah.
And our thoughts of it at the time was, people are going. It looks like you're supposed to be buttoned up and shooting out the sides.
Yeah.
It had firing points in it. Okay, it's going to go up like a tin can with any sort of light anti-tank weapon.
Yep.
And people are going to be, or you're not, or go see the firing points. They're not going to want to unass. I mean, if you stop at M113, everybody gets out.
Yeah.
Even if the only reason you're stopped is because it's stuck in a mud hole.
Yep.
With a Bradley, we're always afraid that people would stay in it when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Well, that's one reason on the M2. M3 didn't have the firing points because we were cavalry. M2 did.
Yeah.
Briefly. Then they bolted covers over them so you couldn't. And you had to use a damn idiot neutered M16 to the firing points, which was stupid.
Yeah.
But they bolted over those with the quickness.
DA says Independence class LCS inspired the ships in his Republic of Texas Navy series, but his ships actually work, unlike the LCS. And yes, they have finally actually killed that program. Many, many, many years too late.
Resident 1, when I tried to get in the military, the recruiter was dead set on making me a tow operator in a Bradley. Looked up the average life expectancy for those 2 minutes. Yeah. We were told when I cross-trained to Bradleys, to cavalry, we were told that our one job was to die gloriously, slowing down the T-72s until to let the Abrams crews wake up and fire up the tanks.
Yeah.
That was we were going to die.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, that was basically the position a lot of us got put in at various points.
Oh yeah. When I was in Germany, stationed in the Fulda Gap, or correction, my combat station was the Fulda Gap.
Speed bump.
The hope was that a platoon worth of men would survive the first 24 hours. That was a platoon's worth out of the company. I didn't worry about it because my life expectancy in case of war was figured at something like 0.002 seconds.
Yeah.
Or 0.14 seconds or something like that. Because we were way up there in the front and
well, we were scouts. We were put out there as the tripwire.
Yeah.
So one, the Russians or the Soviets were going to try to kill us first, so we couldn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
And second, we were the first ones they'd hit.
Yeah.
Well, not in my section of the Gap. We had a reinforced infantry company at this one particular spot that was okay. If I tossed a rock, not threw it,
Yeah.
tossed it from my fighting position, it was in East Germany.
Yeah. Yeah, AJ, that's a little known fact, but all the ships in the battle group are nothing more than, if it comes down to it, missile sinks to protect the carrier. That is actually
One of their jobs.
one of their jobs. Yeah.
Screening element.
Somebody got stupid on my Substack or notes, I think, to ask, I was my status on the whole Ukraine-Russian thing is nuanced and fairly well known. And he got stupid. Have you ever been It's like, dude, I was in the 80s Army.
Yeah.
Knowing that you would die? Yes. All 4 years.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's a target-rich environment.
No kidding. I love the fact that that Substack is very definitely hands off and First Amendment. It also annoys the crap out of me sometimes.
I've actually got some pretty good commenters that
Oh, yeah.
routinely.
I picked up a nice group.
Yeah.
And they got the drive-by
Idiots.
Ooh.
Of course, I tend not to go as controversial as you do sometimes.
I don't necessarily think I'm controversial.
Well, I don't think you're I agree with most everything you say, which is
Yeah.
why I don't comment a lot.
which means it's basically military conflict, not here, India versus Pakistan.
The thing about India versus Pakistan, two things. The first and most important is they've been doing this for the last several decades. We're just now noticing it.
At least since 1947,
Last
and it
several
actually
decades.
goes back almost 1,000 years.
We're just now noticing it.
Yeah.
It's, oh my God, they're shooting each other. Yeah, and
It's nothing unusual.
they're firing artillery at each other. Where were you last year?
They've been fighting over Kashmir literally for 80 years.
Well, if you think back, Kipling's Khyber Pass.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's recent.
Yeah.
That had been going on since Christ was a corporal.
Yeah, exactly. The reason I say 80 years is that's when Pakistan and India were formally divided.
Yeah, when Britain gave up India, when it said, all right, you're on your own. The last thing they did as they were walking out the door and handing over the keys was to take the oppressed Muslim minority and give them their own safe little place, Pakistan. They took a section of British India and made it Pakistan.
Yep.
This is where the oppressed Muslim minority could go and be safe. Well, several million people ended up dead. And Pakistan's been just a monumental pain in the ass ever since.
And they wanted Kashmir and didn't get it.
No, okay. Kashmir is an interesting thing. It was barely Muslim minority. Okay, part of the whole thing was you had India, you had Pakistan, you had a whole bunch of other little principalities, little princes ruling. And they got to choose. They got to choose whether they want to go to India. They got to choose whether they want to go to Pakistan. Or they got to choose whether they wanted to be independent.
Yeah.
Well, no, the number 3 being independent was not a choice. It was not an official. It was maybe an official choice you didn't get. If Pakistan wanted you, you didn't have that option.
Mm-hmm.
So Kashmir wanted to be independent. They had an Indian guy running it, and kind of Muslim majority, but everybody was kind of happy. And everybody being kind of happy pissed off Pakistan for some reason. And they took a thunder run at it. Because the prince is Indian. Kashmir might side with India. He wanted nothing. He wanted to be neutral. He wanted to be his own. He wanted to run things. He wanted to be the guy collecting taxes, making decisions. He didn't want India or Pakistan making decisions for him.
And a lot of the Sikhs went there for just that reason.
And that wasn't good enough for Pakistan, so they took a thunder run at Kashmir. What do you do when somebody takes a thunder run at you? You go to the people that hate their guts and say, help.
Yeah.
So he went to India, said, and then he said, charge, and kicked the absolute loving way out of Pakistan.
Yeah.
Did they learn from this? Hell no.
Yeah, they did not learn. They still haven't learned.
You know, I sometimes think they should organize the Rajputs,
Yeah,
and the Sikhs, and provide arms, and tell them, you really need to solve India's issues, and to get the hell out of the way.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Seek and you shall find. Yes.
Indians are not big fans of the Muslims.
Yeah.
Because when the Muslims invaded, they're not native. When they invaded, they started back up. Okay. Jews and Christians get an alleged pass
We
from
only have
Muslims.
another 10 minutes.
Alleged pass from the Muslims because they are people of the book. Okay, that's Christians and Jews. Sikhs and Hindus are not people of books. They're right up there with heathens. They are pagans, and there are no rules protecting them. So when the Muslims invaded India, they didn't get taqiyya and all that nice stuff of paying. No, they just got slaughtered. Indians kind of took that a little wrong and proceeded to stomp the dog snot out of them. This is why they were oppressed, as they showed up with a chip on their shoulder, and the Indians put the boat in. So, being that liberal mindset, well, they just need a safe place. Does sound familiar? They gave them a safe place. Well, they're in their safe place, Pakistan, and the stated goal, quite openly stated, is Kashmir first, the rest of India later. The Muslims, the ISI, which is ate up with funding since the 80s, wants to take and make Kashmir Muslim majority.
Mm.
And then from there, they want to make India Muslim majority. How do you think the Indians feel about that? How do you think anybody with a sane bit of rock rattling around in that space between their ears thinks about that?
They're going to be slightly unhappy. The other thing that and I say this not in a truly negative way, but that hurts India is the fact that the majority of Indians are Hindi. And the Hindu have different sects.
Hmm?
There are over 100 different sects in the Hindu religion,
Every swinging guru with a nifty idea has his own sect.
and their own language. A friend of mine, she was a young girl. Her parents were over there as part of a company, a manufacturing company that they were building in India. So she went to school, went to a Hindu school in one of the, and I can't remember where the region was. Anyway, one of the prime regions. And she said that their primary language was English because they had so many different Hindi students that they had over 60 different Hindi languages. And that one Hindi could not talk to another because the languages, the dialects were so different. And that just blew my mind. Yeah, and none of them are fans of Pakistan.
No,
the
because-
Sikhs are even worse.
Because Sikhs took the brunt of the butchery from the Muslims when they first showed up.
The Sikh are much like the Gurkhas. You do not want to piss off a Sikh. You do not want to piss off a Gurkha because they don't just hold a grudge. They tend to smile at you when they cut the grudge out. Yeah, the other thing is, and that brings up a good point, Rick. Same issue in China, a lot of dialects, but also
Africa, China.
China is now against India and supporting Pakistan because China has dumped the Russians. And they are now more on the quote unquote American side.
Well,
One of the reasons the ISI laid off India for years, technically laid off of them, was because India was in the process of becoming a Russian substate. They were getting military support. They were getting equipment, a lot of other things direct from Russia, some of which were fairly critical, like submarines and ships and aircraft. And also quite a bit of the anti-air systems. Once the U.S. put paid to a lot of that, India started relooking at what was really going on. And Russia had not quite been able to buy, quote unquote, the right set of Indians. So unlike what's happened in Africa, where they were giving away states and countries, The Indians said,
Bit 'em
well,
on the
wait a
butt.
minute.
Bit him on the butt.
We don't like this.
Mm-mm.
Well, now the ISI had been tied in with China. And China does not like India because now that if the Indians are neutral or U.S. favoring, the Chinese co-prosperity sphere now stops.
Well, also there's the whole Tibet issue, which is not nearly as settled as people think it is.
Oh yeah. That's
China invaded Tibet. Tibet's on the Indian border.
Yeah.
Tibet has been friendly with India for a while. And if the Indians decide, the Chinese are looking at the Tibet getting frosty,
Yeah.
and India say, hey, have some extra guns.
yeah, Resident One. Anyone that's a fan of the Sten series, yes.
The Africa, it's the dialects are unintelligible. For those of you, everybody know what Doric is?
Yeah.
Doric is a heavily Gaelic influenced Scottish dialect. If you've seen Brave from Disney, the big blonde guy that nobody can understand is speaking Doric. If you see it on paper, it's mostly English, but there's a whole bunch of Gaelic loanwords in there,
Yeah.
which makes it completely unintelligible spoken.
Yeah.
Same thing with Moroccan dialect Arabic.
Yeah.
Moroccan dialect Arabic, as you go more and more east, becomes less and less intelligible. When you leave North Africa, Arabs can't understand it. Completely unintelligible.
Well, hell,
Even in England,
Yeah.
Newcastle has a dialect called Geordie,
Oh God.
and I have been there, and it is absolutely unintelligible.
or Cockney.
Cockney at least you can understand the words. They don't make sense because they're using rhyming slang
Yeah.
too often, but the words make sense. Unlike the Newcastle dialect, which sounds to me like
Yeah. Anyway. All right, books.
Moggy Noir 3 is out. The first installment of Wally's
Muses War.
Muses War is out, and
Oh my God, so good.
yeah, it's if you liked Anne McCaffrey's Harper Hall series,
Yeah.
you'll love this.
Tell all your friends because he's a new guy,
Yeah.
Wally's
First
new.
novel,
Wally needs the
wow.
help.
but so good.
Also, John Ringo's got a new one out.
It's John.
It's John, yeah. Rick Partlow's got a new one out.
And Wally's got a point. If you buy these books
Yeah.
from Amazon, review them, please.
Yes,
Please review them.
honest reviews. Believe me, folks, 1-star reviews will sell books.
Especially with Raconteur Press, because we'll take that and run with it. Outrage marketing for the win.
We sold, because I asked, we got a 1-star review on our little anthology
Spot
that we
Reps.
did.
Spot reps.
Reps.
Woo! It was word salad.
Oh, it
Woo!
was, yeah.
Looked like Urban Dictionary barfed in the rating section.
And we decided to have fun and posted that review multiple places. And Pete told me that we sold almost 200 books off that 1-star review.
Yeah, if you'll one stars, especially if it's a frothing in the mouth,
Yeah.
a 1-star, people will buy it just to see what pissed the guy off so bad.
Yeah, and I've sold books off a 1-star review on vignettes because the guy said it was nothing but short stories.
No shit.
isn't that what vignettes means?
Yes. Yeah, monetize your haters. That's exactly right.
Outrage marketing for the win.
But you know what's the worst 1-star review, don't you? Boring.
Yeah. Ouch. No, the worst 1-star review is a 1-star with no comment.
Yeah.
Like, really?
That pisses me off because I'm sorry, I'm old school. If you're going to review something, you should have to at least write something on the review, not just hit some fucking star
1
and
star.
go on.
Waltner.
Yeah.
Whiskey Alpha Lima Tango November Echo Romeo. Waltner.
Yeah.
if you go to the Raconteur Press Substack, we've got links all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
That is good news, Differ.
They're all right.
Or X or the Bug Scuffle Gazette. We've got there everywhere.
Yeah, Differ says Bear Archery is willing to review their proposal and see if they will work with us or not.
Or go to Amazon, type in Raconteur Press.
Yeah.
Well, if they're going to talk to Bear, they might also talk to Shakespeare and see what Shakespeare is willing to do for them.
Shakespeare's fishing.
Shakespeare also did bows.
Did they?
I
Sweet.
don't think they do anymore.
Well, they may not anymore, but they made really nice bows back when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah, there are. Yeah. Anyway, we are a raconteur. Nancy, really?
Boy, I'll say we love Jonathan Cohen, but he cannot pronounce Raconteur to save his
Yeah.
life.
Well, it's real easy. RACK-ON-TOUR.
Yeah.
David. Thank you, David. He says Raconteur social media game has been on point. Mike and I have been having way too much fun.
We'll take it.
We're on it.
Yeah, James, that's the other thing. Press reviews. I got asked one time why I don't have any comments from people about my books. Because I really don't care. You know, I know that's not the right attitude to have, but I just want to write the damn book, get the thing out there.
If you're the author, that's well
Yeah.
and good. I'm the publisher. I need to get my authors paid.
That you do.
I have to get
Yeah.
my authors paid. You
Hey.
don't care.
Hey,
God, I know for a fact you've gotten royalty checks from us. Trust
that's
me.
why I
I know.
care. I
Yeah.
want my damn money. They do pay on time, by the way, unlike other people. Anyway,
We actually
We actually paid.
remember, folks, don't pet the sweaty stuff. Don't sweat the petty stuff.
Be safe, guys.
Be safe. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week. Oh, we're falling. We only got 14 likes today.
32 people watching and 14 likes. Seriously, guys. Why do we even bother doing these things? Nobody likes us.
You enjoy being laughed at and humiliated.
Yeah, point.
Yeah, we are that.
I liked it. I swear. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Y'all take care. Have a
Be
good
safe,
weekend,
guys.
folks. Bye bye.